this microphone here. That makes me look more professional.
Yeah, my mic is like somewhere in the other. It is, but it's...
Yeah. We're not using it, you know.
I've got to invest in a mic at some point.
Well, that's how do I sound? Do I sound all right? I'm using my work laptop. All right.
One. Welcome back, shooters. We got another fantastic edition of Shootin Straight, a handball podcast with Joey and JD. Today, we are very, very fortunate to be blessed with some new guests, new to handball, especially our friends from the, make sure I get this right here, the Tigers Minor League Report.
That's right.
Beautiful. So we're joined with Roger Castillo and Chris Brown. They do a lot of the news outlet, and they have their own podcast, actually, where they talk about what's going on in the Tigers organization as well as the MLB in general. So Roger, Chris, how you guys doing today?
I'm doing great. I was waiting for Roger to say something.
Oh, no. This is the first time we're able. We usually do the podcast through Skype, and normally I wait for like some sort of verbal cue. This time I actually can see Chris. Yeah, we're doing well this evening.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Joey, how you feeling today?
If I was doing any better, it would be illegal.
That's trademark right there. That's every week. So today, for our folks, we usually have a rundown of what we're going to talk about. I kind of, because we got two guests onto the show today, that's going to be, let me make sure my fingers are pointing the right way, kind of towards the middle, in between Chris and Roger down there. So there's going to be some mostly discussion about the comparison between handball and baseball, what opportunities there are for the two sports, and maybe a pathway for handball mimicking baseball to become America's pastime. So who knows? We got a lot to talk about in the next couple minutes, maybe hour, maybe 5 hours. I don't know. We could talk for all night. So Joey, I'll let you take the reins here.
Roger, Chris, it's a pleasure to officially meet you. Ever since I was introduced to your guys' podcast, you guys are officially my new non-handball podcast. And that's saying a lot because this is my favorite podcast. So great to meet you guys. And I guess I'm just curious how you guys got started in the podcast game. How'd you guys meet each other? And we can kind of roll into the discussion from there.
Well, I've been doing podcasts since 2011 when I graduated from the University of Michigan Dearborn. An ex-student who used to run the radio station there approached me about starting Sports Radio Detroit. And so originally I started doing a Tigers podcast maybe every other week or monthly or whatever, what have you. And then Chris was doing a show we used to do like a live studio show at Cave Radio, which is in Redford. And Chris was at the sports studio and he was doing a show called Bad Hop Radio. And I was a fan of it. And a buddy of ours, a mutual friend, Marquise, was like, "Hey, you guys love baseball. You guys should do something together." And I went through a couple podcast partners and no one was really interested in baseball, which kind of blew me away. But Chris and I hit off right away for a love of hip hop and baseball and some other really just random references, pop culture references that he would say. And I'm like, same thing. And so we started doing the Tigers podcast about 4 years ago. It seems like now time seems like a blur when you get older. And so it's been fun. We do it every week, even with no baseball, because Chris and I could talk about anything for 2 hours. I mean, how handball came up in the conversation originally. So that's how long how long I've been doing it.
Awesome.
Yeah, my regular job, I work at a company. Once upon a time, it was called All Media Guide. Evo, it's going to be something. I think we just got bought, but it was a very pop culture heavy company. There was a movie department and a music department. I write about video games, and so I know I just kind of got way into that sort of thing. And I found like a baseball renaissance in maybe like the mid 2000s for some reason. I was playing fantasy baseball and I got tired of being really bad. So I just started getting into prospects. I'm like, all right, I got to get these guys before anybody else. And that led to me like getting really deep into it. And I started posting stuff all over, message boards. There used to be, boy, what was it? It was the Sports Inferno, which was Mike Valenti and Terry Foster's show before it became Valenti and Foster. It was on AM. It used to be a lot more fun. It wasn't caller driven. They actually had topics. And so I got on that message board and was doing all sorts of writing about baseball prospects. And eventually I started doing that semi-professionally, I guess. I was getting paid to do it. It wasn't like I was going to make a living with a site called Tigestown, which focused on the minor leagues for the Tigers.
Side gig.
And then I got my wife's friend was doing radio shows at Cave Radio, and they were starting a sports division. And so he recommended me to come in there, and I was like, yeah, I'll do it. And so I brought my friend Perry from my work, who is a movie critic. So we do like an hour and a half of baseball, and then like the last half hour we talk about movies. And like Roger was saying, that's something that appeals to him too. He's very pop culture savvy, so we occasionally will go into that. For the last, since there's no baseball going on, I'm kind of curious what you guys are talking about with the post. We've been talking about movies a lot in the shows too. So yeah, I don't know. We kind of found each other through happenstance, and we've been doing the show for 4 years. It's a lot of fun.
Couple of Renaissance men.
I can't do anything other than sports, but
yeah.
That's so cool. Both of you guys sound like you've absolutely been living the dream for the past few years as far as pop culture, sports. I want to be you guys when I grow up. How about that?
Well,
Yeah.
As I say, aim higher.
I don't know about that. It's definitely fun to get to do what you love, and that's something that
Sure.
I know Joey and I have. Handball has a lot of potential, especially here stateside, which we sure we'll talk about for the potential of a professional league and things of that nature here in America with handball. So a lot of cool things on the horizon, but it's a long way to go. So
Gotta start somewhere though. And I guess so we'll kind of do a little short background on both me and JD. And we sort of met in a similar way through roundabout, happenstance. Some call it fate. But yeah. I grew up in Farmington, live with my family here right now. And I grew up playing lacrosse. And so during the 2012 Olympics, I was just thumbing through and saw handball. And I was like, wow, this looks like lacrosse, but with soccer, a marriage between the two. And so I did a little Googling and saw that the closest like handball club was in Chicago. And again, as luck would have it, we were going to Chicago on a vacation like a week or two after the Olympics. So I got in touch with them and went to a tryout, or not a tryout, just a practice. And I fell in love with it. I've been chasing that high ever since. It was just so much fun throwing a ball around. On the ball, there's like some sticky stuff, so you can really like do some fun stuff with the ball.
Nice.
It got into my veins. And then after that, I tried out for the under 21 national team. Showed up, was the only guy at the tryouts. So by virtue of the fact that I have 2 kneecaps and a pulse, I was on the Team USA junior national team. And since then, through that, have been able to travel to a lot of places, meet a lot of cool people, and most cool among them has been JD. So JD, why don't you
oh man, so much hype now. So basically, I grew up in a multitude of sports. I was a big baseball kid till a freak lightning accident ended my career in baseball. We won't get into that. But I switched to lacrosse. Yes,
the horror version.
Somewhat. So then I switched to lacrosse. And I played lacrosse all growing up and through high school and a little bit in college. But I actually started playing handball when I was at a summer camp when I was in 5th grade. And that kind of became our neighborhood game that kids in the neighborhood, we just screwed around and played handball. And I got to Iowa State, and so don't hold it against me that I'm the lone Buckeye on the call here, so I'm in dangerous territory. But so basically,
You're doing that, Roger.
Yep.
Oh,
I
Michigan,
see.
yeah.
I see.
I won't hold it against it.
Good. We're all friends for now. So then I got to Ohio State, and they didn't have a club. So I saw it in the Olympics, and I said, why not? So I got my buddies, and we started a team. Sure enough, at the president's meeting, the guy sitting right next to me was the brother of the U.S. captain of the national team. And so he got me his information. He was from Columbus, and he became our coach. And so the rest just took off from there. Like Joey, I was on the junior team. Then I graduated from Ohio State, kept coaching. I still live here in Columbus, so I coached them. I was on I'm on the board of directors for USA Team Handball, and I also serve as an assistant coach for the junior team sometimes and the senior team most of the time. So still very involved with handball on many different levels. I also play for the Columbus Armada, who is the local team here. We have strict naming rights that we tried to sell to Big Cat. So Barstool Big Cat, still out there if you want to buy it. I believe we put it out there for $2,500 if they wanted it, but might have been out of their price range. So who knows, but we'll see. So yeah, that's kind of me in a nutshell. So yep.
Yeah, I mean, for myself, I played baseball growing up. I played from the time I was wee T-ball till like 21, 22. I actually lied about my age, playing in a rec league.
Nice.
A couple extra years.
I am 12.
Yeah. It was fun. It was just, and even with, it took me a while before in my mid 20s where like typical adult beer league thing would happen. And I refused, like, it's not baseball.
Yeah.
So I try to be a purist, quote unquote, but yeah. Yep. But in terms of handball, that's just, handball has been in a way involved because my mom is from Spain.
Okay.
And it's huge over
in
Spain. And we went in 95, and my cousins and my uncle would watch matches all the time. And I know that it was in Real Madrid that didn't have a team. I don't think they had a team, but it was just local people. It was local teams area. And then my cousin lives in a small town outside of Madrid called La Fortuna. They had these little courts, and they had outdoor courts of handball.
Oh yeah.
And people would pick up games of handball, and it was intriguing to me. And I was a big basketball kid at the time, but it was just the back and forth pace of it all and everything. And my brother and I attempted, but it was the hand and eye coordination part of it was so unique, and just catching it in midair and just launching it. But my brother would put a little spin on it, but yeah, that's how my sports background.
Nice.
Yeah.
No lightning. That's good. Stay away from the lightning.
Yeah. Lord. But those are really cool stories, those guys. That it's awesome that I think it does feel like handball's kind of an untapped space right now. Like I first saw it. I guess I played like a variant of handball that was invented by my gym teacher in middle school. But it was like half soccer, half handball. So if the ball was on the ground, you could kick it. But then if it got up in the air, you could catch it and dribble and throw.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it was a made up game, but we played it like crazy and it was fun. But yeah, I think I also didn't really, I'm sure I knew of handball, but I don't think I really started paying attention at all until the Olympics. I don't know if it was 2008 or 2012. I don't know which year it would have been. But one of my coworkers at my job, who actually now works for the Tigers, he built their database, their Caesar database for scouting. He's this guy who's been way into Olympic sports since he was young. Like he's like just a weird sports fanatic. So he's talking to me about water polo and stuff like that. I'm like,
I'm not interested, man. But cool, good for you.
Well, I mean, but yeah, handball always seemed interesting to me because it's close enough to like a sport that everybody else like. Yeah, it looks like basketball or soccer or football. It's like lacrosse. It seems like it should be more. I think if it were on TV, people would watch it. Oh
yes, and
I'm sure you guys feel like that too. It's just not there right now. But it seems totally, it's high scoring, so you don't have to worry about this soccer, and it's fast and it's fun. But so yeah, when you see it in the Olympics, I'm like, this is cool. I wish there was more of this, and then it goes away for 4 years.
Yeah.
There are people who don't, obviously play it or go way into it like you guys do.
Yeah, you got to be a special kind of crazy to really. To be into handball when it's not an Olympic year. So I feel a little weird right now because it was supposed to be an Olympic year, but it's not. So my craziness levels are really out of whack right now. But That's so cool that both of you guys like have a background about the sport, have heard of it,
at least know something, right?
Yeah, because to me, even watching it, like I went and randomly watching on YouTube, and then PS4, you could buy a handball game. Right? So you could buy it on
Yes.
the one of the streaming games.
Yep.
Yeah,
I have it. So
yeah, it was, and that was kind of like my way of getting into it in terms of a technical side, because I didn't really know the positions. I saw him loop it around, and I knew there was a certain zone he could throw it in, and just kind of figuring out like some of the steal action too, kind of like what their version of a fast
fast break.
Absolutely. And but then just the ability for the goalie to cover that much ground, and seeing some of the saves they're making were the kind of the fake, but then the idea of like that, the airtime on that, and the way they were slowing it down in some of the YouTube videos, it's hard. I mean, in lacrosse, I've always respected lacrosse players to catch that ball in the middle of the terminology for it, but to catch it in midair, then to just have everybody who's hacking at you the whole time going and then just don't like in that net, just whipping around that kind of speed and that coordination. You know, even watching stuff on YouTube now and just seeing it, for me, it's watching Spain. But then I didn't realize too, my father's side is Cuban. Cuba has a team. Didn't even know that.
Pretty solid team.
Yeah, they're really good too. The women's team, I guess, is pretty good too, I guess. So
fun story about Cuba is that their goalie actually was too good for Cuba, and he had I don't know, did he have dual citizenship with Portugal or what? I don't know the full story behind it, but he was on the Cuban national team, and then he got much better after playing in Portugal, and I don't know if he just became a Portuguese citizen, but now he's on the Portuguese national team, and they were one of the shockers at the last European Championships in January. So it's a crazy rise to fame there. So even a small like island nation like Cuba can produce. You know, they got a huge baseball background, so everybody there's got a cannon, so they can all throw it pretty well. So, it's just very frustrating for us because people just don't know about handball. So that's kind of what we're trying to do, and we've gotten a lot of flack on our previous podcast because Joey and I talking about handball. We're only reaching out to other handball people. Well, we've had enough of that, so that's kind of our spark to have you guys lead the charge and break out into the normal sports, I should say.
The normal people world.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, like it'd be really cool to see you guys succeed in this, and like you'll be like elder statesmen and at some point and raising the next generation of handballers. I don't know if there's a special name for people who play handball.
According to Barstool, it's handballists, but it's
handballists. No.
Handballists. It's they're just being, a couple of donks, as our Irish friends call them, which I've never heard that as an insult before, but I love it. But yeah, just handballers. I call them handballers.
So I actually, I mentioned I'm working on my work laptop. I'm actually checking now to see if I wrote about the handball game because I write about video games.
Yeah.
I probably didn't if it's just digital, but I
if
we can continue on.
You'll probably be the first professional in the gaming world to actually,
write a review on it.
If I haven't written it, I will go back and write about it, and I will put your guys' names in it.
Okay, sweet.
Oh, yeah.
I can play a segment for you if you want. I can go upstairs, get my Xbox, because I've
done that.
Go ahead.
I've done that with friends before. Like when there's a random like a mountain bike game, I'll just put my friend's name in it because I know nobody's ever going to see it. So.
That works for us, man. That's cool.
So any publicity is good publicity.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Exactly. I tried to get arrested for the sake of handball a couple weeks ago, but nobody was there to arrest me, so it was kind of a letdown. But we were trying to have practice in the middle of quarantine, and there was like 200 other people practicing other sports at the same time there, so nobody was stopping us. But Joey,
I'm curious.
Go let her rip.
You guys cover like the Tigers minor league organization, right? Like top to bottom. How many athletes are in that?
So, Chris, you had a number. I think it was around 300, maybe.
And not quite 300. So this is actually a little bit of a sore subject right now because my baseball is in the process of basically getting rid of 2 whole minor league levels.
Oh snap!
And this they were talking this before the pandemic, and now the pandemic is just kind of like, all right, yeah, we're going to do
like single A and double A.
Low A affiliates, right, Chris?
Yeah. So For the last couple of years, the Tigers have had 9 different minor league affiliates, and each one has roughly 23, 24 players. So you're talking 220, 230 players in the system. There are 4 rookie league teams. So you'll have 2 teams in the Dominican Republic, which is all that the Dominican, Venezuelan, any other Latin American kids they've just signed, typically 16, 17. And then from there, they'll move up to the Gulf Coast League, which is down in Lakeland, Florida. So that's where Tiger spring training headquarters is and where their high A team plays, but they also have backfields where the rookie teams play. And then there's also the short season Connecticut Tigers, and that's the team that I think is going to get removed completely. And that's generally, so the draft happens in June, in the middle of the season. It's the only professional sport that does that. It's dumb, but whatever. So there's usually 30 players who come in the middle of the season, and they have to play somewhere, so they have them play up in Connecticut, short season A ball, and then you have the 4 full season leagues: A ball, high A ball, double A, and triple A. But yeah, there's a lot of minor leaguers. We try to cover, or at least talk about all of them, but in general, we're talking about the ones who are actual prospects or have something that could make them a prospect one day. There's a lot of guys who are basically paid very poorly to play catch with the better players.
Oh,
yeah.
Jeez.
But those guys, I imagine, are like at least decent athletes, right? With they're good enough to be picked up in the organization.
And I was thinking about this when you were talking about which baseball players might translate to handball. There's a couple different kinds of athleticism that you see in baseball. There's the kind of athleticism that annoys me. The guys who can just repeat whatever they're doing. The guys who just pick up a golf club the first time ever and shoot like 75 because they can just they're just awesome at that sort of thing. And then there's the athletes, the run, jump, quick twitch athletes, and you don't get as many of them in baseball, but there are some at certain positions.
Or you get the guy who with the athleticism but doesn't have the baseball mechanics down yet. Because now that you see in youth sports more specialty where they don't play multiple sports like they once did, it's baseball at 10 and you're on the travel circuit. If you're gonna, your parents put in that pressure and kids are getting Tommy John surgery at 13 or 14, which is ridiculous. But I think having the multi-sport athlete for baseball would be helpful. And thinking about the question you guys presented, in terms of even players in the minor league system, there's so many, as Chris alluded to, how many different types there are. And for a guy who plays shortstop or a guy or any prospect who can play multiple positions, I think would benefit or could play handball. But I was thinking about what about a pitcher? So a guy with a 3/4 delivery or versus over a hand top. So if he's going over the hand versus kind of like the slot like this, and he's already trained to do that, can he be taught the proper handball motion? I think he could, because there's so many variables. There's so much data points in baseball with the TrackMan and all these camera things they're doing right now, where you could apply it to handball and say, look, you can get more spin going over the top or going 3/4 with the spin action. You could. That's what to me would be exciting about. You can apply that same kind of heavy data driven aspect to handball to make a player better, a goalie even perform at optimal performance where he can see it quicker because there's a certain weighted drill or something that allows him to see that quicker,
Roger, it's funny you bring that up because that's essentially my job with the national team is to help with stats and in-game stats to feed to the coaches, basically. So I sit up in the stands and I just kind of tally every possible thing that they could do, like where on the court they shot from, what phase they shot from, where on the net it went, and we basically map all that out. At the highest levels in Europe, you can go through and you can look at a game and each player has like a tracker on them. So they have total distance that they've run during the game, fastest sprint, highest jump, so how high they got off the ground, fastest shot, obviously, and the same thing that I was talking about with, where on the goal that whether it was a goal, and I guess whether it was a goal or a miss, and then where on the court they shot that shot from. So it's just like this massive just amount of data overload. But it's really interesting. You talk about like working with the goalies and things like that, and goalie is a very mental position, so it's tough to it's tough to like retrain a goalie, I would say, because once they kind of get their routine, they're kind of stuck to that, and you just got to tell them like make saves. I don't care what you do, just keep the ball out of the net. You're crazy, man, because those balls are coming in there at 85 miles an hour sometimes. I mean,
Wow.
people are like, okay, like that guy's throwing it like pretty fast. It's like, no, that's the same as a Major League Baseball pitcher, except the ball's 3-5 times heavier. It's like I think a baseball is like 3 ounces or something like that. Is that? I looked it up once, but handball is like 15, 16 ounces. So it's a pretty big discrepancy there. But yeah, the data tracking is like big right now in the European, like especially in the big tournaments and stuff like that. They do it. Sometimes I think the players don't like wearing the chips or something like that. I think it's a special shirt they have to wear.
Yeah, it's the RFI. It sounds like RFID tagging, which with some similar football uses.
Yeah, and they do that in basketball too. And I actually think that's an important aspect. I think people, at least nerds like me, the more stats, the better.
Same, yeah.
So if you've got, this is the top 2 percentile throw of the year or something like that, you'd be like, oh, sweet. That's the stuff they've been doing in baseball the last 5-6 years that I'm super into. But so I was doing some looking at the sort of positions, and I do think, so it's what is the center basically is kind of the point guard of the action.
Yep, exactly.
So, to me, I think that would players in baseball who might translate to that best would be shortstops.
Bingo. I was
because
gonna say the same thing.
Yeah, the biggest thing, shortstop. There are a lot of guys who can catch ground ball and throw it to first base. The main thing shortstops have to be able to do, they have to be able to react quickly, and the best shortstops have to be able to throw accurately from all sorts of different angles. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that'd be important when you're distributing the ball or whatever. You got a guy in the wing and you want to get it out to him, you got to go around a guy. I feel like a shortstop would be best at delivering awkward throws quickly and accurately.
Yeah, and covering a lot of ground as well.
Yeah.
I also think that catchers too, and the reason why I thought catchers would be good centers.
They might be good goalies.
Yeah, well, good goalies too. I think, because a center, in terms of a good goalie for a catcher, catch the ball. There's right there. There he is. Nice, dude.
I don't know. It's a small soccer ball, I think, but I don't know if it's the right size.
It looks like a size 2, but that'd be a women's ball. So it's funny because when I started the team at Ohio State, we just had a size 3 like soccer ball that somebody got a commemorative one from the FIFA World Cup, and we just used that because it was like this. Close enough. So it really, that's all you really need. So as far as starting a team, you're halfway there already.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, okay. I'm just saying, I just thought that catchers would be the reason why I thought centers too is because catchers also have to think of when a hitter gets up to play, they're like, okay, he went the right field last time. Is he a pull hitter? Is he a guy that can go over the field and kind of dictate the defense? Yeah. Like, okay, this is what we're going to do. Let's position. Because the manager, of course, has to worry about that too. But as a catcher, you have to think, okay, if he's going to throw a slider and this guy can get the quick, or if there's a runner on first and he's going to throw a pitch that's going to be wild, I'm going to position myself to make the throw to second or make the throw to third to prevent anything like that. But I mean, goalies, yeah, of course.
Well, no, you're right, Roger, because I mean, there's a reason that like 75% of MLB managers are former catchers. Like they think the game more than anybody else. So that's a good point. I didn't even consider that. You find yourself an athletic catcher like JT Realmuto,
yeah,
he'd be an ideal center.
Okay.
Strongest arm for catcher.
Write his name down.
Yeah. I'll reach out to him. We like to say on the show, shoot or shoot. So we'll see what he says.
Well, so and I think I would probably want my back line being pitchers. Specifically, I was thinking for the Tigers, they've got a kid named Matt Manning, who's one of their top prospects. He's 6'6". He was a legit basketball player in high school. He had a scholarship to play basketball at Loyola Marymount. He throws almost 100 miles an hour. So he's got the athleticism. He's tall. He can move and he can throw hard. That seems like a perfect. What do they call fullback or what?
A wingback, wing, right? Right, left winger or right winger.
FYI, guys, we got 10 seconds, I think, until the Zoom. So get ready to rejoin here. So,
all right.
Commercial break. Yeah. Commercial break.
For our
I'd have him on one side and Tarek Skubal on the other side. He's a lefty.
Hey, the lefties are a gem. You absolutely
he throws 97, 98 too.
Folks, we apologize once again as we join our intermission here. We have technical difficulties due to Zoom only allowing for 40-minute meetings. So please hang tight while we get everybody back in time for the show. So I'm trying to get everybody admitted, and we will get back to business here momentarily. Okay. While we get everybody joined, hope everybody's having a great time watching the show. I know CJ is. He's our big fan. Oh, CJ, thank you. I'm glad that you like our transition. So I do my best here. You know, give a shout out to our friends on the show here. Let me fix this real quick, and then we should be beautiful. Everybody joined at the same time, so we are going to go right back to business, and we're back. Awesome. Sorry, folks, but now we're back into business. So Chris and Roger were just kind of going through their potential position transition into handball from a baseball standpoint. So I'll let you guys keep going.
Yeah, what did I? Oh, there's a center kind of back, right, too, a defender.
So
would it help for him to be 6'9" or 6'10"?
Absolutely, a big.
Smith.
It wouldn't hurt.
Who are we signing up this time?
There's a pitcher they signed, a Division III kid. They got him in what, 6th round, Roger, 7th, something like that. Named who grew. I think they said he was like 5'11" as a high school senior and is now 6'10" or 6'9".
Wow.
He's a pitcher. Yeah, and he can also touch the mid-90s. I thought put him back there, block more space, and then throw hard. But maybe that's too tall. I don't know.
You know what? I was going to say
for too tall.
I would say for circle runner, though, which is the person that kind of gets. Well, you guys know who circle runner is.
I don't.
I think. As well for Chris out there, he's a quick. He's kind of like a point guard, right? Would that be a good, accurate description?
The pivot or the circle runner is. I relate more to like a basketball center.
Basketball center, okay.
Because they're kind of the ones setting picks for the backcourt players to cut through. They don't necessarily have to be gigantic. I've seen at very high levels a pivot who's well under 6 feet just because he gets lost in the towers of all the large defenders. So there's different tactics with it, but the number one thing is they have to be able to receive the ball in awkward positions and then be able to turn and shoot in awkward positions. So they have to have good hands and good body control.
I would have to say that to Riley Green, who is the Tigers' top positional prospect, non-pitcher prospect in the system. He's 19, but I think he's 20 now, Chris. I think maybe.
Probably.
19.
Yeah, he was their number one overall pick last year.
Yeah, and he is. When we saw him play at West Michigan last year, he played center field, but he was like twitchy. He had really good ball awareness. He knew defensively where to get good speed down the line. And he even talked to us a little bit, interviewing me, talked about his little bit of basketball skills a little bit. So I think that he would translate into that position very well because he's so quick. And despite his size, I mean, he's a pretty athletic kid. So I think that he would be a good circle runner because then he just kind of cerebrally thinking about how to set up the position and where he could catch the ball and just kind of, all right, well, I got to throw it over here, and based off his pure athleticism.
It's funny. Yeah, when they were saying setting picks and stuff, I was thinking Grayson Griner, who's actually he's not technically a minor leaguer anymore. He played enough games for the Tigers last year, but he's a catcher who's 6'6", which is tied for the tallest catcher in Major League Baseball history. But he's actually a better defender than he is like an offensive player, which is pretty rare. So for a guy like that, he can catch the ball in awkward positions, I assume.
Yeah.
Parker Meadows, he's tall. I mean,
6'5".
Yeah, 6'5", and he's got some. Good athleticism. So I think Parker Meadows will be a good one.
You mentioned Derek Hill too. I think that's who the guys I guess I would probably want on the wings or whatever.
Backs.
The guys who can really run and go get the ball and are twitchy and athletic, and then like a Victor Reyes even who plays for the Tigers. He's 6'3", and it's a little bit goofy.
He's stiff when he runs though. And
he is. Yeah, he probably wouldn't be good for quick twitch or change of direction, but he covers a lot of ground. So I don't know. I don't want to get too far. I could probably.
Oh, you guys go on for days. Yeah.
Jacoby Jones would be a good. I think Jacoby Jones would be a good center. Oh, absolutely. Nico Goodrum would be a good circle runner. I think. You know, another good circle runner would be for his height. But he's a pitcher. But I think Tarek Subel, because athleticism.
Yeah. I wanted him on the back line because he's a lefty.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Yeah.
I don't know where you want your lefty.
Lefties definitely need to be. So to kind of give you guys an understanding, when you let me pause. I'm going to get my my board here.
All right, get the grease board.
It's like, every time I think of a board, I always think of that the video or the NFL films and Vince Lombardi going a seal here and a seal here and just like on the chalkboard.
So
one of you retweeted an awesome. It was a girls handball thing, and the girl did like a 360 pass.
Yeah,
it was
sick.
It was badass.
It's crazy to see stuff like that. And the cool thing I like about handball is the women's game is just as popular in Europe as the men's. When I was living in Denmark for a time, and in the small town there was a bigger women's professional stadium than there was for the guys' team. The guys were like playing YMCA, but the women, it was electric. It was really, really cool. And they're very technical, fun to watch players. And yeah, the 360 shot. The cool thing is in beach handball, which I'm not sure if you guys seen any videos of that or.
No, I didn't even know it existed.
Dude,
wow.
That's where it gets wild.
The 360, if you shoot and do that, it's 2 points.
It's just any amazing goal. It's the referee's discretion. If it is an outstanding or amazing goal, they give them 2 points.
That's fantastic. There's parts of sports I love that feel like something you just made up in your backyard.
That is one.
And that's fantastic. Like, oh, that was a good goal. You get 2 points for that.
That's the whole sport of handball right there. Just it looks like you made it up in your backyard.
Totally. Well, like the idea, like, hey, you can go over this line, but if only in the air, so you got to and then throw it. That's great.
I mean, you could have if you guys if there's a national all-star game, just do like a best visual goal scorer like that. Just kind of like their version of slam dunk contest. Just have it like that. I'd watch that for sure.
All right, we're gonna keep that in mind. Yeah, that's coming. So you were talking about positions. I don't know if you guys can see what I'm displaying here. I'm trying to make it clean. So you want your lefties where it says RW and RB. Just from an angular perspective, when they go to shoot on the goal, they can get that far post a lot easier. Whereas if you have a right-handed player shooting from over there, they're kind of limited. They'd have to contort their body to get to that far side of the goal. And the same thing goes on the other side. You want your right-handed players where it says LW and LB. That's left wing, left back. And then I kind of put the pivot in the middle because that's usually where they like to clog space up. So
that makes sense.
Yeah, so if you got lefties are awesome.
Oh, yeah. They're worth their weight in gold. And every person you just mentioned, they're going to be getting an email. So the Detroit Tigers, you guys better watch out. Handball's poaching all your players.
So that brings me to a question for you guys, and you would know this probably more than most. Like, you listed off a lot of guys that are kind of still – some of them have played in the majors, some of them are in the minors, some of them are really fresh, really green. How many of those guys continue to chase the dream? If they don't get into the majors after year, let's say 2, so they're now some of those kids are playing mid college. The whole baseball draft situation is weird because kids get drafted in high school, but then they still have to go play in college, and then it's this kind of weird timeline of events. But once they are out of college and they're full time in the minor system, how often do they just fade out? Does anybody ever give up, or they just kind of live in the farm system forever, kind of like, was it Bull Durham? You just kind of a traveling band.
Yeah, I would say the vast majority of them end up giving up and retiring. It depends, kind of. Some guys stick around for 2-3 years. Some guys stick around for 5 or 6. Some guys are kind of minor league lifers chasing the dream, or they just, they love playing baseball so much that they stick with it. And there are aspects of the way they play or their personality where they're sticking around because the organization loves them. They love the way that they help other players. They're kind of coaches on the team and mentors. And then a lot of those guys transition into coaching. And we saw Roger just did an interview with Brian Pena, who's a Cuban baseball player who played in the majors for, 12 years. and he immediately went into coaching with the Tigers. Isn't he younger than me?
Yeah, he's younger. He's
Yeah.
30. He's at 35
fantastic.
years old. Yeah, he's younger than. Yeah, he's
Holy
younger
cow.
than me. Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of times in their guys, you'll see like that the Toledo Mud Hens basically had the real world Bull Durham, Crash Davis, Mike Hessman. They kept him around until he was 38 or 39. He played for a bunch of different teams, but he was beloved in Toledo, and he broke the minor league home run record there.
Oh, I remember hearing about that actually. Yeah.
And now he's coaching in the Tiger system.
Wow.
So, but yeah, there are other times. There was a couple years ago. There was a kid they took in the 11th round of the draft, and generally, if you're taking in like the top 15 rounds, you're sticking around for at least a couple years. But he retired like halfway through his first season.
Oh,
there's some guys who are like, you know what, I don't. And we talked to a kid named Max Green, who's a minor leaguer, a relief pitcher, and he said he has teammates who don't really even like baseball, but they're just playing because they don't know what else to do. They're good at it, and they can.
Oh my
and
gosh.
So some guys like that end up just giving up. Other guys who have more opportunities, I went to Stanford or whatever. This isn't working out. I'm gonna go.
Yeah, I got
one
a
of
real
the
job
top overall
somewhere.
pick.
Yeah.
What's his name? Mark Appel, number 1 overall pick in baseball a couple of years ago. He gave up. He quit because it just wasn't working out for him. So, but generally speaking, yeah, I think within 3 to 4 years, most of the guys are gone.
Yeah, I would say even for guys who they stick around that life, because what Chris was mentioning too, they don't know any better. And handball in Europe is similar to soccer, right? Where they have the youth leagues and then they eventually get in the clubs and then they go in that, which it goes like levels like that, what Joey's mentioning. That I think baseball would like to go to, but this is so institutionalized with the way they're trying to take out the minor league system. I think they want to go towards how they do it in soccer and in handball, where they would have, like you guys mentioned, you're talking about the USPL as an example. If they could do it that way, I think baseball would, because the cost, $400 a week is not a lot of money for these players at all. I mean, they get per diem for meals like $20-$30. So you get 2 for $20 at Applebee's and call it a day.
Yeah.
Or, you become a connoisseur of the dollar menu and that food's not good, comparatively speaking to what major leaguers make for meal money. So I think it just wears on you after a while. I mean, Michael Jordan, when he was a minor league player, bought a bus for these guys to make it a little more tolerable. So it is, comparatively speaking to what is going on in like Premier League, and I follow soccer too. So seeing how the players over there, even on some of the club levels, get treated like they're just premium nutrition, premium this, and they're selected and they're breaded. And even for guys that might not even make it, at least they have a sense of like, you know what, I'm done something. I hang out they make friends for a while, and a lot of these players do too. Don't get me wrong, but 5 or 6 years in the minors of, living, you're living with a host family in a bed, sleep in a twin bed that's not exactly cozy, and all these little factors that play into it. And you're talking to these minor league players, it's like you can see the wear and tear on them, just like, we're playing in Altoona, Pennsylvania, or we're going down to Columbus to play the Clippers tonight.
Clippers have the best stadium in America, I should say.
I wanted to go down there. I've heard a number of good things.
It is really nice. Perks of being brand new.
One of the movies we watched when we were starting to find other stuff to talk about is called Sugar, and it's about a young kid from Dominican who makes it. He's good enough, and he makes it to like A-ball, and they send him to Iowa. And this is a kid who can't really speak English at all, and it does a really good job of showing you the culture shock and how it can wear on a kid. And without spoiling it, things don't go perfectly. It's not a baseball movie where like, he figures it out. It's
not
much more realistic.
Let me let me give you 2 kind of stories on that. So, put yourself in a prospective handballer's shoes here in America, and you want to go take your talents to another level. Your options as of a couple years ago included moving to, say, a country in Europe where you don't know the languages, unless you're fortunate like Joey to go to Denmark, where English is fairly commonly spoken.
Better English than me.
Yeah. Or you could go to like, Eastern European country and, just tough it out. But the other option was you could go to Auburn, Alabama and train with the residency team. So, when I think of Alabama and Auburn in particular, it's pretty out there. It's pretty remote. So, even sending an American kid to a place like Iowa, no offense to our friend John Ryan from Iowa, but it's not going to draw in a lot of talent, I would think. So, choosing that location of where, sending somebody to Detroit, for instance, it's a city, like there's things to do. There's activities. There's a lot going on. So there's a lot of that weighs into that. So that's where, having these farm system programs in these kind of more remote cities, I've always wondered, if it's just like, because you can get the whole town behind it, you go to a place like Fort Wayne, Indiana, or Toledo, Toledo's still close enough to Detroit that they can just go be Detroit fans, or Cleveland. They can kind of pick, but you start getting out there into some random cities like in Iowa, that's nowhere near anything. It's like, well, I don't know. This is it. So it's kind of frustrating, and that's our problem with our growth here and with handball is that we're all very spread out, and there's no money to get to point A to point B, and most of the teams are in like cities. Nobody's really in any, I'd say like lower tier cities, but the end goal is to have handball everywhere. So we'll have to eventually cross that bridge. But from a pro league standpoint, there's a lot of talks about targeting, cities that have these smaller arenas that we could then actually fill the stands with. Because I think there are some stats about the minor league system that gets, about 4,000 to 5,000 fans at games, I think. And now you guys correct me if I'm wrong there, because you guys probably know the figures on that. Right. Okay. And, ticket prices are average probably somewhere between $20 and $40. There's probably like the Clippers. I know I only go on Diamond Dog night, and that's, $6. So I pay $7 and get a full meal and a show. So it's pretty good gig. But so that's what we're trying to target down the road to figure out where those places are and how to tap into them.
Yeah, I mean, the handball court is slightly larger than a basketball court, right? Or is it significantly larger than a basketball court?
It's a good bit, not significantly. Like if you kind of included the benches and the space behind the hoops, how the NBA hoops have the big base, if you included that space, that would probably be close to the size of the court. It's 40 meters long, so it's like 166 feet. 133 feet, excuse me, and 66 feet wide. So it's pretty big. I think NBA is like 90.
NBA is like 94 feet long. So so probably not. I was just trying to think of what kind of, if the infrastructure isn't there, like what can you piggyback on? Where I mean, you probably play it in any like high school gym, I assume, but.
Got to roll out some seats, but yeah, we've played in Quicken Loans Arena in Cleveland, actually, on the Cavs court.
Awesome!
We were on ESPN, and they blurred us out the next day. So they were doing a post game interview, and they saw us. Like you could see us in the background playing, and somebody, as I stalk people on Handball on Twitter, I saw they took a picture of this, and I was all pumped and telling everybody. And next morning, I went to watch it. And they had blurred us out, so you couldn't see anything. It was the same clip. Yeah, ESPN Black Magic.
I was thinking about like areas in Michigan where I think handball would work, and I think one of them would be in Grand Rapids at the Deltaplex, because they've hosted the Pistons, they've hosted the Grand Rapids Drive, which is the Pistons minor league affiliate. And I lived out there for a while, and with all the colleges out there, you have Grand Valley, you have Kelvin, you have Kalamazoo right down 131.
Hope College, that's where I went.
Oh, there you go, Hope. And then there's Western Michigan too, and there's so much of a good vibe out there in terms of like a sense of community. And I think that you see like a younger audience getting out there and checking out those games because it's something different, something unique. I think West Michigan would be a perfect market for a handball team. And in terms of Metro Detroit, you live in Farmington, so I would think even something on the lines of, maybe if you're talking about Oakland, Macomb counties out there, somewhere, I think like if the unfortunate thing about the Palaces being torn down, the Palace would have been perfect because it wasn't being utilized, and we're saying it's for occupancy for industrial space, which I think is total ridiculous. That would have been a perfect place for that because it would have been a venue where it's already paid off, and then just pay rent, and then just simply keep it like that. But unfortunately, it's not like that. But you can even, there's some really nice gyms out that way. In Detroit, I saw you guys do that whole video for Kobo and doing the whole pump thing.
Super cool.
That was really, really cool. And I think the old Kobo used to host Pistons games. I still call it Kobo. I'm not going to call it, was it TCF Center or something?
I don't even know what it is now.
Yeah, I'm not going to.
Some corporate nonsense.
Yeah, some bank nonsense. Like, there's already enough bank nonsense, but I think those areas.
Brought to you by TCF.
Look, Handball wouldn't not accept sponsorships. I mean, I'm sure you guys would. No, but all jokes aside, I think looking at this area, looking at how the demographics are changing, Chris and I have talked about this in the baseball side of things. Baseball is not grabbing a younger audience. And I think with Handball, it's such an excitement of the two halves, having that, scoring back and forth. Because everybody, I hate that complaint about, it's too low scoring. It's such a low hanging fruit argument. You can't have that with Handball. It's so exciting. It goes back and forth. There's a
you
good
probably have it with bad Handball, but
yeah, but
in the U.S., you never know. Yeah, exactly.
If a Handball 30-year-old man, me catching it and like that, but
I'd love to give it I need to exercise. I'd love to give it a try.
Oh, definitely.
Roger, the other aspect that you're missing here with Handball that most people don't realize just from watching highlights is that it is extremely physical. I mean, I saw that. Yeah. It is essentially full-on tackling. You just don't take them to the ground, but when you're in the trenches on defense, it's a lot of pushing, a lot of shoving, a lot of elbows. Very physical. You got to have a lot of core strength. I know, like, Joey and I are both goalies, so we don't have to fight off anybody. We just deal with the ball. But when I go out and I play the field, having not done that on a regular basis, the next day I can barely move. And I'm not a young guy. I'd like to think I'm fairly in shape. So it's definitely a workout, I would say. So if you guys are looking to get out and join some of Joey's practices, it's definitely a good.
I would do it.
I would die.
I would die, and that's fine because I would get stronger. I'm fine because I see some of the team watching Spain, the national team. Seeing those guys just like they're very good, but also they remind me of like rugby because they're a little bigger built. But seeing that it's like it's hanging down there in the post, and that, I mean, to me I would get in shape quick for that. Honestly, I'm a little.
You're running all the time. That's the thing. Yeah. It's like it's instant subs like lacrosse and hockey, so you can just run on and run off. So a lot of coaches like to do defensive subs, so they'll bring on a defensive specialist. But either way, like it's not a short court, so you're doing. I think they had the stats from the games in January, and there was, some of the players were running. Like, I wanted to say it was like 20 miles in a game. Like, the one game was double overtime. Right. So it was, I think Duvniak it was just something absurd. I remember. I was like, this is insane. So you almost ran a marathon in one game, which is nuts.
Is there there's like a club in Ann Arbor, right? I would think.
No.
Really?
No. You'd think, but U of M had one when I was like in high school, and then
let's clarify the U of M situation. They claim to have had a team, and when I started my team, I was like, "Oh, perfect, little Michigan Ohio State rivalry. This is glorious."
You get a built-in audience that way,
yeah. And so I emailed that guy probably every month, Alex Bennett. And never once. He's like, "Oh yeah, sorry, we can't come. Oh no, you can't come visit us. Oh," no. And I'm like, "Dude, I've had enough." So I don't know what.
It's the Canadian
happened.
Girlfriend version of Handball.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, we got a league. No, we're great. I put my highlights on YouTube, and I don't know what happened.
That's crazy. It's crazy.
Well, so, and is there like a current like handball superstar, like somebody who's like transcendent talent that people should know of?
Yeah. Mikkel Hansen. Mikkel Hansen. He looks literally like Thor from the Marvel movies. He's Danish.
Thick, beautiful headband.
Just long locks. Flowing, beautiful hair. Handsome man, but he is a stud. He during the championship for the world championship, so the final game, an average a good handball player might score 6 to 10 goals.
Which is still a lot.
16. Yeah, it's a lot. That's a good player. He scored 16 against the second best team in the world.
Wow.
Unbelievable. He plays for Paris Saint-Germain.
PSG for you soccer fans out there.
Oh, let me guess. They're also stacked too, just like the
Yes.
soccer team.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because of money or because of
Uh-huh.
talent. Yeah.
6'5", 216. I'm looking at them now. That seems like an ideal size there. 6'5", 216. That's like an ideal pitcher size. And we're 6'5", about 220 pounds.
What's crazy with him is that he has such an explosive wrist shot that he could be at a complete standstill and just whip his arm around. It doesn't look like he's going to shoot that fast, and he just stings the corner every time. It's just unreal. But yeah, he's definitely the king of the court right now. Karabatic also played for PSG. Nikola, he's kind of like the all-around player, I would say. Like, he can pretty much do it all. Like, Hansen has terrible defense. Like, Hansen doesn't play defense. He's the offensive god. Like, he's the showtime. So Karabatic does a little bit of everything. And Sander Sagason's kind of on the rise. He's the young buck, coming into the woodwork. All
three of them play for PSG.
Yes.
I was going to say, as soon as I was looking at the roster right now, and he's number 10, he looks like he's Sander looks like he's ready to go. And then Nikolai
Karabatic. Yep.
Yeah, but I guess
the same birthday as Sagasson.
Oh, cool. Give him a shout out.
Like,
15 years.
Hansen looks like Borg, the tennis player from the 70s.
Bjorn Borg.
Borg?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's that Scandinavian?
What's crazy with Sagasson is that he plays for PSG right now, and the way handball, like European, it's like Champions League in soccer, same Champions League in handball. So PSG was in the Final Four with Kiel, which is a German club. And so Sagasson had signed a contract to play for Kiel next season, but because of COVID, they had delayed the Final Four to August, and the transfer stuff happens in like early August, late July. So there was a big debate about whether he would play for PSG in the Final Four or play for Kiel, since he was technically going to be a part of Kiel, even though he was like still on PSG. So it was a very interesting series of events there. But
and he's going to be playing for Kiel, right? So he'll be playing against a team that he went to the Final Four with.
Yeah.
That's wild.
But they postponed it, I think, even further now. I think it's supposed to be like Christmas time, which is going to be weird because it'll be like in the middle of the regular. I don't know. The whole sports culture is all jacked up over there. They started like practice back up and whatnot. And as you guys saw, Bundesliga and Premier League is going to be coming back soon, I think. So
yeah, I mean, I would think handball would be kind of a winter sport.
Yeah. So the season kind of like pseudo starts like September, October, gonna get rolling. Games kind of really start to pick up like November. There's always like an international break in January, and then season gets a lot of momentum. February through March, another international break in April, but it's kind of the end of the season, like late March, early April.
Wow. So Alana Cook, who plays for the female team for Paris, she's American. That's cool. There are a lot of Americans playing in Europe.
What'd you say her name was?
Alana Cook.
You might have just stumbled upon something.
Yeah. So I looked at so she plays for the female Paris team. Yeah. Her name's Alana Cook. She was born in Winchester. She's defender for the Paris team. Number 5.
Was this soccer or handball?
No, handball. I'm looking at it right now. Number 5.
What?
Yeah.
No, it says I see her for a professional soccer player.
No. I see her. I kid you not. She's on the handball team. Well, wait. Yeah. Is that right? The women's handball team. Yeah.
This is nuts.
Hold on. Let me double check. I'm pretty sure. Hold on.
What?
We need to have you guys being the recruiters for the national team. Like, jeez.
Hold on a second. Because I'm looking at it says women's team. Okay, so it's okay. Make sure it's not soccer. It could be soccer. Darn it! No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Oh man, no. It looks like
I thought you just fell upon a gold.
Oh no, I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. Because I was in the handball page and it said league table, and then I was. I'm sorry. I don't mean the.
Wow, I got really excited there for a second because So I'll let you guys know that basically the way the national team works out right now is that it's almost entirely dual citizens. So it's kids that have grown up and played professional handball or most of their life that just either their parents American, they were born on U.S. soil and moved back, or there's some weird connection to America. There's only a handful of guys that are a part of the system that are born and raised in the States. And they've been very
By
fortunate.
handful, you mean less than 5? Like literally the number of guys who like grew up in the U.S., like went to high school, played sports, like
the normal
I can count them on one
American system. One of them plays in Spain. Roger, our good friend Jude Donlin, he plays for Ademar Leon. It's like, I think Leon's like northwestern Spain, if my geography's right. So he's part of the WCAP program, which is the World Class Athlete Program, which is for military. So he's an Air Force. I don't know what his exact Air Force title is, but he's an Air Force guy.
Air Force guy.
But yeah, Gary Hines is kind of the super story. He grew up in Atlanta, was part of like the Boys and Girls Club or YMCA or something like that during the '96 Olympics, and a bunch of people dumped a bunch of money into handball in the Atlanta area in '96. Like Weather Channel gave $1 million. Like there was a lot of money in handball in '96, and Gary was somehow involved with it in some regard. And basically, when he turned 18, I think he moved to Spain, and then he moved to somewhere else before he ended up in Bad Neustadt, Germany, and he's been playing there professionally for like 15 years now, I think. So he's like 36. He's also a German Ninja Warrior. He's a freak athlete.
He can jump over dudes.
Hang Time Hines.
Wow.
I'm reading his Wikipedia right now, which is riddled with spelling errors. But
hey, he's got a Wikipedia page,
Yeah, his mother had drug and drink problems. Never told his father that he has a son.
Well, I saw, here's a stat that said that raised stateside, 5 female USA female citizens playing handball overseas is 5. And I was reading some of the stats about. There's a good article on Team Handball News that by John Ryan. Yeah, looking up some of the demographics. That's all like in terms of some of the stuff we do for our podcast. But I would think that the reason why handball would be something that should be a sport that's growing it should be growing quickly is the opportunity to play and an opportunity to really. I saw how much athleticism goes into it, and you look at. I mentioned earlier on the top of the show about the specialties and with baseball and other sports. There could be a lot of trailblazers here. I mean, there's just the amount of athleticism, and I'm surprised with all the field hockey and lacrosse and everything that in hockey itself, like all that crossover, it'd be an easy transition for somebody to play. And let me ask you guys this: is the cost of playing the sport relatively inexpensive? Like, hockey's you have to pay. You got to pay for ice time, gear.
Yeah. You see what Chris showed us earlier in the show with that small ball. That's your expense. There you go.
That's it. Wow.
I mean, all you have is court. You have shoes and a ball, and if the bare minimums to start a team would be some form of a ball, and you go to your local gym. You know what's underneath every basketball hoop in a local gym? Those pads. Okay. There's your goal. You're done. Like, just get playing. And that's a bare minimal. Like, when I started our team at Ohio State, I tied plastic bags together to create an arc. Like, we literally started with nothing. And we went to Lowe's and we built our own goal, like out of just wood. And I stored them in my apartment, like behind my couch. Like, we would walk them to the practice every time. It's just, the problem is it's a lot of dedication. Like, Joey and I both started clubs. Like, it's not something you just go out there and do because nobody knows about it, and then there's like, what am I doing? Like, I don't really want to do this now because this is just like there's nobody doing it. And like you said, the biggest ticket is TV. If people see it on TV, they're gonna want to go out and give it a try. I mean, you guys, saw it. You're interested in giving it a try, and that's all we can ask for. But outside of that, travel and gym time. Gyms are not cheap. I'm very fortunate that the gym we practice in is $1 a week per person, so it's pretty awesome. But that's why I try to tap into a lot of colleges, because colleges get their gyms for free usually. So if you are an adult team, you want to have games, play the college team. College team will host you for free. So you just got to know the system a little bit, what you need to do. But it turns into right now the way that it's set up in America is a lot of weekend warriors. Like, you go out to a tournament, you drive 6 hours to get there, you play games all day Saturday, you play games all day Sunday, you end up playing like 5 or 6 games over the weekend, then you drive your 6 hours back, and you're just like, what just happened? Like, what is going on? So, so cost though, I hate to say it, really low.
Spiritually dead.
Yeah.
I picture somehow getting in there in like halftime shows, football games and basketball games, playing like a 15-minute half of handball, just so you got eyes on you and enough people go, well, what is this? This is fun. I mean, obviously you're going to have trouble getting the lines and stuff like that, but
I'll tell you what we've done. So I've played before a arena football game. I've played after a professional basketball game, and we played at halftime of a futsal game.
Oh wow, futsal!
The futsal game was hands down the best setup because the goals were already there, the lines were already there, and the fans were held captive because of the halftime situation. So that was probably like the most people I've ever played in front of, hands down. The problem is that basketball would be the best to target because we can just use the 3-point line and we'll just it's close enough, and we'll just need to pop up the goals, just jump out there and start playing. If we can, I just don't. We've struggled to tap into that market. Like I even started pitching to like the Pittsburgh Pirates about letting us play at like 7th inning stretch out in the outfield or something like that. Like it was 5 minutes out there. Like we can get set up pretty quick. Like the goals are really. I have a set of pop-up goals I keep in my trunk of my car, and they take a couple minutes to set up, and they're easy peasy. So I like your thoughts because it's something that I've been trying to tap into for a while. We just don't have the connections, and blind emails and cold calls. They aren't landing quite yet, but you
gotta get to Dan Gilbert.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good idea because I could see him easily investing a lot of money in.
I just need somebody in the Cavs organization on the inside. We'll get there.
Well, we're trying to make Detroit Handball City, USA. So and that's the thing too with. Hey, buy stock in handball, Dan Gilbert. Come on now, get on that. But the thing that I when I was playing, I didn't want to start a club because of everything we've been talking about. It's just such a pain in the rear end to drive to our closest game in Columbus, Ohio, and that's still 4 hours away. But the angle, the kind of idea that me and JD have been kicking around is just to kind of create like an ecosystem around the sport in general. We don't need to have Detroit versus Chicago as our sole, anchor for the sport. I've been trying to do these 3v3 leagues at different spots throughout Detroit before COVID, obviously, and we're working with a rec sports league or organization. Come play Detroit. We're gonna try to get
really good organization. Yeah, absolutely.
They're awesome. And they got thousands of people playing like kickball. Why can't we get a few dozen playing handball? We get a few dozen playing handball. Hallelujah! That's more than a lot of places in North America.
I'd much rather play handball than kickball.
You tell him, Roger. You tell him.
No, it's just because I don't care about kickball. Handball is a much more fascinating sport to play. And
let's be real. Handball's a real sport.
Exactly. Kickball.
Kickball is what you play at recess.
Yeah, it's like you know what kickball is to me, especially in that Come Play Detroit. I had my brother-in-law blow out his hamstring because I'm not saying what school that's in East Lansing, graduates who were playing and took it way too seriously and threw the ball at my brother-in-law in order not to get him at first, and he nailed him, and in result he tripped up and pulled his hamstring. Kickball. I will say. Kickball, come on.
Kickball, man.
Being able to hit people with the ball.
Yeah. Handball's a man's game, but like kickball, not to say that
Yeah, I know what you mean, but like the passion. Every some of these goals, and you see he sent me that Spanish crowd, they were just like, and they were really getting into it, and then rightfully so. It was a very energetic to see it, or even like the fast break kind of thing, and just
The problem. Hold on, Joey. The problem here with getting that level of intensity with fans is that they don't know what they're cheering for. It's like we'll have a game, and I'll have 50, 100 people at a game, 150, whatever, and it's just dead silence. Like it was just like an amazing play, and nobody cheered because they don't Like they're just like, I don't know, this looks good, but like, yeah, I'll give a golf clap, I guess. But like, we played West Virginia, who's interestingly enough, they're a new handball team on the scene. They're entirely Kuwaiti. So they have like a Kuwaiti farm system through the petroleum engineering department. So they come over here, get their degree, go back to the the oil refineries.
Of all places, University of West Virginia.
And so these guys bring all their fans to all their games. So they'll be packing like 40, 50 guys, and they are just hooting and hollering the whole game, and it gets intense. Like it is. Oh dang it, folks! I apologize. One moment here. Again, that 40 minutes of Zoom is really a bummer, holding us up. So, as I was saying, I just get really excited about the Kuwaiti guys. They are really hyped to play, and I love playing with them because nobody takes it more seriously than they do. Nola, you're gonna need to be quiet for our show here.
JD, we lost.
I know.
We got cut out.
I got it. Nola, please, quiet. There, baby dog. Come here.
Who wants to chat in? Sorry about that, guys.
All right.
No worries.
Yep, that's that dang Zoom. Come here, baby dog. Okay. 1 second here while I try to. We got switched around because Chris and Rogers joined late, but for our last segment, you guys are gonna trade names, so we're just gonna. Actually, I can fix it real quick. I'm pretty quick on the mic here.
The reason I wanted to ask you guys about the United Shore Baseball League, JD, this is like a minor league stadium that's in a suburb of Detroit, and it's one stadium, but it has like 3 or 4 different teams run through it. So I just kind of how has that been working? I'm not a huge baseball guy, so I don't know how pure the competition is or how it's working as like just a league. But I'd just love to get your knee jerk impression on it.
I've been to a couple games. My day job sponsored a game sponsors a couple games a year, and I got the opportunity to go. And one of the players, was it Chris, got drafted by the Twins? Got picked up by the Twins.
Randy Dobnak.
Yeah, Dobnak. Yeah,
got signed by the Twins. He actually was pitching. He started a playoff game for them like a couple months later.
Cow.
Yeah, it's a really innovative. There's 4 teams that are the West Side. I can't remember the names, but there's 4 teams that represent that part of Macomb County, and the model is really cool because they got corporate sponsorship. The United Shore is one of them. I was always hiring, like Quicken is, and the talent that's there is like that tween level between kids that didn't get a chance in college or in college level kids, and kind of a feeder system for minor league players. And I think at some point, if I'm an MLB owner, I'm like, this is good. I don't need this minor league single A team over here. I could just go to these, because they want to be able to model them and put them in other cities. And so how it works, to explain it as easy as possible, it is a way to have exposed talent and get the talent out there, get them to work on their game without having an entire minor league, like all 4 teams in one. They just play each other the entire time, and it's all just high level practice, if you will. I don't want to say high level practice, but game on game action and getting him exposure to scouts in the majors. So it's a really cool concept, and I like the baseball. The baseball's, it's good for what it is and for college level, and I like they have a really fan friendly experience too. The staff is outstanding over there. Really, really, it's a minor league level experience in a very small scale, and it's 3,000 or 4,000 maybe, I think, something like that.
4,000,
yeah.
It's. I think we're going to see more independent league baseball like that for the reason that I talked about before, that they're eliminating a lot of minor league teams, and they're also truncating the draft. Now, this year, the draft is going from 40 rounds to 5 because of the pandemic. And then next year, it's probably going to be 20, and that's probably what it's going to be going forward. So they're going to be, and a lot of times the guys taken in like the 35th round, they call them kind of vanity picks. There'll be like a guy who's somebody's son or somebody they know is not going to sign, but they just want to be like, hey, here's a reward, or they want to reward the scout who put in the work to get to know the guy. So that you're not missing, but there's still, 8, 10, 12 guys each year for each team. So you're talking 300, 350, 400 guys who would have been playing pro baseball who won't be anymore. And I think a lot of independent league teams are going to pop up. And we actually saw another one of the movies we watched is called The Battered Bastards of Baseball, which it's a documentary on Netflix. It's really fun. It's fun really for anybody, I think. It's about Kurt Russell's dad, who was a Hollywood actor. He started an independent league baseball team in Portland. And they were playing, it was an independent team playing against affiliated teams, which is, unheard of. They actually changed the rule afterward. And they had these open tryouts, and there were these guys from all over the world who came, and they were really good. Because they cared. Like, it wasn't about development. They were just trying to play baseball and win. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what you'll get in these independent leagues too. It's guys playing. Obviously, they're still chasing the dream, but they're also just playing for the love of it. They're playing for the love of baseball, and that's something that's kind of refreshing to go see.
That's beautiful.
Yeah,
that's super cool. That's one thing I was very curious about. Is just why were people playing? As weird of a question as that.
It was a great question, Joey, because in a way it's the model that I think will be good, like the Atlantic League, or is it the Atlantic League, Chris? I'm thinking of? Yeah, the Atlantic League, where baseball is experimenting with robo umpires and stuff like that. It's at a much smaller scale, but it is cool to see in our own backyard here in Michigan. And I hope that they do have teams that are closer to where I live, because going up Hall Road on traffic and grid hour, I don't.
Honestly, you mentioned it, Roger. The United Shore, that's basically another Quicken Loans. It's another Dan Gilbert type thing. Yeah. The guy who started it, I think, played basketball at MSU. I don't know his name, Andy, but they've got seriously, my friend Scott works there for him, and he's like, oh, Mateen Cleaves works here too. Like, he's like a motivational speaker. Like, that's a guy who, and clearly, if they're sponsoring that might be another person to try to look into and target for, like, hey, handball, what else are you gonna do?
Write that down, Joey.
Yeah, come play Detroit. It's such a good idea.
That's his name.
Andy something. You look that up, Chris. I know you. I forgot it. I met the guy who runs the whole thing. Really nice guy. He seemed like the
Andy Appleby.
Appleby. Yeah, it was Appleby. I couldn't think of his last name, but he was.
I think I might be thinking of somebody else who he may not be the guy who started it, but he's the guy who works there. I thought.
Yeah, he's he's the owner of that whole U.S. I mean, he's out there every game, greeting the fans, waving. He reminds me of the National Lampoon's Vacation. That guy. Yeah. Like not Clark Griswold, but the guy who owns the park, where he comes like, well, what does it mean?
Wally World.
Yeah, Wally World. Yeah, the guy found Wally World, that kind of thing, like that feel to it. Yeah. But
so the guy I'm talking about is Matt Ishibia, something like that. President and CEO of United Wholesale Mortgage. He loves sports. He played basketball at MSU. So
yeah.
All right.
I'm gonna shoot them an email at some point.
Absolutely.
Beautiful.
And talking about like just sort of the long game here, and I guess in combining a few points we've been talking about, my dream would be to have something like the United Shore League, but in Detroit. Get a few handball teams in the area, and just have them go at it and have a great fan experience. But who knows how far away that is?
Well, Roger's more into it than I am, but Detroit's sports media conglomerate. What is it called, Roger? I'm blanking on the name.
For what? Mine?
No, the thing we went to the event for
Detroit Sports Media. Detroit Sports Media.
Yeah.
Talking to Jennifer Hammond for Fox 2, or doing like a segment about that. I mean, Jennifer Hammond, I'm a member of Chris and I both are, because of our podcast and stuff. So there's definitely media contacts we could put you in contact with, like a story. There's nothing going on. So why not put a good story? Like, I don't want to hear about the Lions for like 800th time about their roster breakdown. Don't even get me started on the fact that, like, here they are, they're breaking down the NFL schedule, doing predictions. It's so dumb. Like, at least we do an hour and a half podcast. At least we mix it up. I don't want. I mean, like, if I have this car. I had this sticker on my car. I'm gonna take you. All right, put a picture. I immediately put the sticker when I got it yesterday. I put it on my car. is on the back of my car. I will picture it. I'll put it on Twitter. I'll verify it and everything. But it is, I think it's a cool concept, and it's not a cool concept. It's a cool game that people should get involved with. And I wasn't kidding about that either.
Well, I was just thinking we went to what was a charity event.
Yeah,
it was
fundraiser,
an auction. It was we were fouling, however you pronounce it. Throwing footballs at bowling.
Yeah, it's a good time.
Yeah, it is
you
definitely.
Could do the same sort of thing, but at a handball game, right?
People out. I was thinking just switch the football for a handball, and then we're pretty much there. So
and it's
howling.
Handball.
Yeah.
I actually went to the fouling place earlier this year with that exact intention, and it was like 4:00 on a Tuesday, and I was like, okay, let's just give this a shot. So I walk in, and immediately, like, I was the only customer there. So like everyone just kind of looks at me, and I'm like, hey, like, my name's Joey. Here's my thing. And they're like, there's like the dude who owns it is just the nicest guy in the world. But like, they're basically like, we're trying to establish our own thing with football, but sorry. But yes, great minds think alike. That at some point would be great. Maybe once we get big enough, he'll relent and be like, okay, fine, we can get on the handball train.
Yeah, I mean, those courts are packed, and people are throwing axes. I mean, why not this? I don't.
Yeah,
maybe we could play handball with an axe. It would get more traction.
I feel sorry for that goalie. So
it taps into our first episode where we talked about if a handicapped person or someone that was missing a limb, if they could play handball, and we've both said that if you didn't have any hands, you could probably play goalie still. So
that's true.
You just kind of swat at it, and then you pick it up and just kind of fling it to your guy. So we got a lot of flack for that, I think, in one of our earlier episodes. But we're saying that you can play
handball.
There is wheelchair handball, very difficult, kind of like wheelchair rugby. A lot of clashing and physical. What's cool? The cool thing about handball's Paralympic partner is it's called goal ball. If you've never seen goal ball, it's amazing. Like I really want to try it out, but I'm not blind, and I don't know. I don't want to like be insulting to like just because like some of the guys that play in the Olympics, they're partially blind, so then they have to still wear like a blindfold. But basically, it's kind of like if you put two handball goals side by side and cut them in half, and then there's three people on each team, and you just throw this ball that's got a bell in it across the court, and so everybody's just diving to block it, and you don't know where it is. And their coaches are like screaming, telling them like where it's going. So you're like rolling it. It's. I'm telling you, look it up. Like I watch it every Paralympics. Like it's fascinating to me. And they just lay out. I mean, they're just full on dive, like just and hope for the best. And you get a bounce shot in there and you bounce it over a guy. Like it's nuts. Sorry, that's my hype game. So.
Nothing makes me feel worse about myself than seeing these dudes with like no legs and can't see, just going balls out at a sporting event.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here, I'm fully capable. I'm like, I'm
gonna have another Cheetos.
Yeah. This is fun to watch.
Well, you guys have been just absolute rock stars.
Yeah, this has been fantastic.
Oh my gosh. I can't thank you both enough.
This is super fun. Yeah, I'm really pulling for you guys, and I'm happy to do anything we can to help. I want to pay attention to handball more now. I feel the passion from you guys, and it's pretty awesome. And I love the idea of sort of the epicenter of handball in the U.S. sort of being here in the Midwest. That would be awesome.
Yeah, I'm telling you, and I'm telling you, this is seriously. I don't know who thought of this logo. It's genius, absolute genius. Because I have about 75, 80 fitted hats. I'm a big hat collector, and I love logos. I'm not Chris Kramer, sports logo guy who. Anyways, that's another name.
That's a Bunghammers hat.
Yeah, this is a Bunghammers hat. This is West Michigan Bunghammers. Their third logo, the Beer City Bunghammers.
Bunghammers.
Yeah. And then the Columbus team has a really cool logo. But seriously, you took the spirit of Detroit, put a handball, and then you have the silhouette. It's brilliant, and the lettering is cool. It's not you guys didn't do the classic. Oh, let's just use the old English G because every other team does it. It's just very unique and very. I really really like that. And again, whatever we could help out with, absolutely. It's a very cool sport, and people should check it out. I mean, baseball. The one thing about baseball right now that's kind of bumming me out is all the greed going on about percentages to keep. And I understand where the players should make as much as they need to. I get it. That's fine. I'm not one of those people like, oh, they're playing a game and none like that. However, with everything going on externally, a distraction, a game, something people can rally around, something like that. Why not? Why not give handball? I mean, I'm 38 years old. I'll play. Screw it. I need to get a little bit of shape, but hey, whatever, man. It's cool.
We're getting you guys both jerseys.
Right, well,
you have me sold on jersey. So
that logo that Joey made, it took some time because I'll admit I did not like the first iteration of it. That green and yellow one that you made, Joey. That was I have a lot of those bumper stickers, and I didn't put them on because I was like, I feel like this is gonna change, and it did, and it's a lot cleaner.
Live and learn. Yeah, those were some rough days, but hey, it means a lot to hear that from both of you guys. Like I love Detroit. I love being here, especially after like living on the west side of the state, being back here, feeling the energy, like being a part of this community, especially the sports community. I appreciate what both of you guys do. I'm going to start becoming more of a baseball guy as a result of you guys. That's a promise.
Awesome.
Well, we'll see if there's a season this year.
Yeah, I mean, fingers crossed. But maybe we can base get handball or something like that. We can combine the two. Basketball.
Story of my life. I saw that movie recently, and I was like, "This is what I do. This is my life, like in a movie."
It's a reality.
I just need the Milwaukee Brewers. I think. I need
I forgot the name of the
They're like the strong team. The Milwaukee Beers. Yeah, the Milwaukee Beers, and. I gotta be them. So that's where we're aiming to be, is the basketball level of following. So starting in the driveway, ending in the stadium.
Where can our 10 viewers find you guys, follow you, like you, like what's
11 Joey 11?
Well, I'm at Rajcast on Twitter. I'm at Rajcast81. You can find Tigers SRD. If you search for Tigers SRD on Spotify, iTunes, you can find our podcast. And we talk more than baseball. We talk a little bit of pop culture. We do talk we mainly talk baseball, but we talk other stuff. And we're open to talking anything, in case of how we ended up here, because we are creatures of just observing other things. And so. Yeah. And then you can find us if you want to learn about the Tiger Minor Leagues, TigerMinorLeagueReport.com. And I'm also the co-editor at MotorCityBengals.com. So anything Tiger related, I'm there. Baseball related. So
hell yeah.
Yeah, and I'm Chris Brown 0914 because there's a hell of a lot of Chris Browns out there. So but mostly, I'm mostly just tweeting about baseball. I did a couple weeks ago, I did a full 160 pick mock draft for the baseball draft, which is absolutely absurd and dumb. And I think like 50 people read it. It took me like a month.
More people read it than that, Chris. Come on.
Well, whatever. I'm just saying, if you want that level of nerdery regarding minor league baseball in the draft, you can come look at that. Otherwise, just hang out in the podcast. Like Roger said, we talk about a lot of different stuff, and we just say we'll talk about just about anything if it's interesting.
Yeah.
And you guys are good at talking about anything. You guys sounded like more of handball experts than me, and about half the handball community. So I appreciate you sprinkling a little nerdery onto the handball world. It was truly a blessing.
Well, thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, we really appreciate it.
It's nice to meet you guys.
I'm very, very thankful to have you guys on the show. I'm trying to last second here get your guys' info on the last segment here so I can show everybody when we transition scenes here. But this has been fantastic. Like Joey and we trying to do an overhaul of the show, and you guys were an excellent first couple guests. You were very helpful with our live streaming capabilities and difficulties with the Zoom. So. And had a lot of good information. You guys already know a lot about handball, which is great to see and hear. And there's hope.
I have a lot of really basic questions.
Well, we can answer those right now if you want. Like, we aren't going anywhere. Like, it's 10 o'clock on I don't even know what day it is anymore. It's Saturday, I think. I'm not doing anything else.
Day 68.
So if you got questions, like let's. I'm ready if you guys want to stay on. Otherwise, we can call it quits. But I'm not going anywhere.
Well, the one thing I was
Almost my
talking to
best.
Roger the other day, I thought so. There's the main area where you have to shoot from outside of. You can't step in it and shoot. But then there's another line I've seen. Is that like a 2-point line?
That's a good question.
Joey,
Jay, do you want to
Was
take
that-
it?
I'm just showing you my screen here. So this dashed line that you're referring to is called a 9-meter arc. So on a situation where the defense wraps up the offense and basically stops their momentum, all of the offensive players have to come outside that area before they can restart play. So basically, it allows you as a defense to continue to stop them to the point where they kind of lose their momentum and lose their flow. And the more you stop them, there's not really a shot clock in handball. There's always been talk of it. There's what's called passive play. So if you're not showing an attack, the referee will raise their hands, and at that moment, you have 6 passes to get a shot on goal. So the more you create a 9-meter situation, the more likely you are to get that passive play, which is going to force them to take a shot they didn't want to take, which means you're going to get the ball back. So as a defender, you want to create those, so you have to wrap them up and stop them.
And that's where like the physicality, like you literally like it is a foul per se. But it's okay sometimes when you just like you can see a guy's about to move and you just like wrap him up. Don't take him to the ground, obviously, but like that's like a very good foul that stops you. Yeah.
I do have one question because I'm going to take off here in a second. Okay. Where can I find games to watch online? Because I was trying to find like a clear cut way to maybe catch some European action. I was talking to my cousin the other day, and in Spain, and he was like, he couldn't. Sometimes for whatever reason, I'm going to try to explain to him, I couldn't get it. But is there any way I can watch games outside of the YouTube stuff?
Absolutely. Joey, do you want to tell him? Or...
I don't want to get the exact URL wrong, but it's EHF, European Handball Federation Champions League. I'm not sure if it's .com.
It's just EHF TV. You just go to EHF.
Yeah, if you guys send it on the Twitter or Twitter chat too, like I'll get do the rest and kind of figure it out from there. But yeah, just I know probably with the quarantines, the games not going on, but you can
go back and watch games from many different seasons. You're going to want to watch the match of the week. That's the game that's going to be in English. All the other games are not in English. So if you watch
top 10 funny goals and saves.
So yeah, those match of the weeks are done by our friend Chris Riley. He does the Uninformed Handball Hour, which is the #1 handball podcast in the world. So
it's the Irish version of us.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the pathway to go, I'd say, because watching a game without English commentary, it's going to be tough. I'll be honest, like it's tough for me.
I can speak Spanish, so I can. The Spanish
There's
ones,
no commentary; it's just silence.
What? Oh,
yeah, okay. It's just so it's really awkward. So yeah, if you can find some in Spanish, you're golden there. But most of the time, it's just crowd noise. So it's really like
there's an opportunity for us, Roger. We take the ones without commentary and just do our own commentary on it. Like,
I'd be down for that.
Here's Stephen throwing.
You guys could do it. I'm not kidding. I started doing some for one of the teams in the league, the Rihamen Cox. So we've been cheering for the Cox all season and doing commentary for their games. Nice. So yeah, it's got the champ. What's the derby match? They're in the Finnish league. It's the Dicken versus the Cox. So it's good times. Good times.
This and I do double entendres quite a bit. So
good.
Yeah, that works for me.
I'm glad.
Yeah. Well, honestly, like because we Chris has got the broadcaster voice of gold, and I can fill in color. Oh, come on, give yourself a little credit there, man.
It's crisp. It is. Chris is crisp.
Yeah, it's like he's got that barrel or tone. It's funny because everybody.
Vern Lundquist,
yeah. He has a really good Jim Leland too, if you ask him to. But it's yeah, we love to do stuff like that too, and anything
there's
we
a
can
market
do,
for that. Seriously, like you can reach out to them, and I've asked them, and they didn't think it was a problem until I told them that a lot of people won't watch games if there's not English. So
we'll hook you guys up.
Yeah,
we'll hook you.
Right. Like they told me to send all complaints to them via Twitter. So like I'll make sure to mention this.
All right, sweet. Yeah, I would love to do some commentary and like maybe also watching more games like that would probably help us to get us to a point where we can call a game or something like that. Yeah, I'd love to.
You could absolutely come to any of our games and call a game. Totally fine.
And I've been wanting to check out the Columbus Zoo. It gives me an excuse to go down to Columbus.
Yeah.
And our buddy Kian, who runs another Tiger minor league report, he runs a minor league site too.
Okay.
Lives in Columbus, and so he actually was going to go to a Columbus, Wisconsin game last year, and just something came up. But I was going to go down there and cover up my license plate because I didn't want to know Michigan. Because I've heard
you come stay at my house, I'll take care of you. You'll be safe. So I got season tickets for football games. So if you want to go, just hit me up. So
by the way, I hate Notre Dame. Buckeye fans have every right to talk the way they talk. It's Notre Dame fans.
Does not right now.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Notre Dame fans, where do they give you the right? You haven't won anything since the 90s. Stop.
A long time. Stop. I was a Notre Dame fan as a Catholic kid growing up Catholic school system. I was a Notre Dame fan all growing up.
Here.
And you know, it was tough when your best season is like 8-8 or 8-7. It's like, yeah, that was a good season. No, it was awful.
No, like Lou Holtz. I mean, they're in the Lou Holtz era, the 91. I mean, I say that I went to Catholic school for 12 years.
Yeah.
And it was just like Notre Dame. And then when they got worse, I'll never forget, I had a Notre Dame alumnus. Real quick story. When I was at my last year U of M, we had a Notre Dame alumnus come in, and she was such an elitist. She was talking about how networking, and she's like, well, other Notre Dame people hooked me up with a job. And I'm like, what was the point of you talking to us? She's like, I'll be your friend. I might not hook you up unless you went to Notre Dame. And the entire time we're all looking at each other like, well, what was the self-serving thing I've ever sat through? Because it was just Notre Dame, and it changed my opinion about Notre Dame fans because they're obnoxious. The pass does not matter. Like, congratulations, Rick Meyer threw 4 touchdown passes in 1989. Woo! You know, and Ohio State can go out there and go, you know what? We can throw a quarterback anytime, anywhere.
Yep.
Yeah. Third string quarterback with a national title.
Yeah, exactly.
The 30 for 30 is coming, man. I'm waiting for it. I'm so pumped one day.
I'm telling you, it's like it's frustrating as a Michigan fan watching Ohio State just to crush you every single time, and now they don't care, and that's what hurts Michigan fans.
Yeah.
I'm a rational Michigan alum and a Michigan fan that's just like.
I went to the game last year. I went up my first time in Ann Arbor, and I was honestly disappointed because I feel like Michigan fans have just already like given up. Like the rivalry is, I wouldn't say just dead right now, but I feel like I honestly want Michigan to win so that there's a reason. Because like I feel like I want some bad blood. Like,
how does that feel, Roger? How does that feel? I want you guys to win.
No, like really.
But I understand what he's saying. I understand what he's saying, though. He's absolutely right. Ohio State fans are not incentivized right now because we're not good.
And I think Michigan fans, you can't talk smack because you haven't won in like your entire lifetime.
Yeah. It's 2 times in what, like 18 years? Like there's kids going to school now that don't even know of a win.
Yeah, give me the John Cooper era, please.
Yeah.
I would love the John Cooper era for Michigan fans. I'd love to have that kind of dominance again, but
yeah.
I haven't seen that since I was in high school. For Christ's sake, so
I'm very much enjoying these goal bloopers.
Yeah,
one off the post and it hit the girl in the back and went in the goal.
Happens a lot. You'd be surprised. Pretty regular for me at practice, I'd say.
Thomas Power
Hour.
All
right, you guys see me that link then. I gotta check this out, but
there's a ton out there. Gentlemen. Yeah. Roger, thanks for coming on. Chris, you're more than welcome to ask us more questions. We can.
It's good. Yeah, we'll let you guys go. It's
cool. It's been fantastic. This is glorious, and thank you guys for spending the time with us. I know
this was seriously a lot of fun, guys. Seriously,
we can do this more often. You know.
Yeah, I'm down, man. Anytime.
Cool.
Yeah, same here.
Cool.
And Joey, hopefully we'll meet up soon, and we'll talk shop soon, man.
Sounds great. Once this thing passes, let's throw a handball around.
All right, sounds good, man.
Good.
Beautiful.
Sounds good. Hey, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Shooters, thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you next time. All right, I'm showing your guys' contact info on the little screen here. I'll give everybody a couple seconds there to. Is that spelled? Did I spell Motor City Bengals? Is that right, Roger? You said Motor
I can't
City,
see it.
MotorCityBengals.com.
Yeah,
I was trying to type as fast as I could when you were talking there, so I was like,
Sometimes I talk fast. I apologize.
No, you're good. You're good. You're good. I don't
I'm
know.
really bummed. If Nationals had happened in May, like I wish. Well, hopefully it'll happen again in Detroit, and you guys can come like commentate, just do your thing. Like this has been awesome. I'm so happy we found
it's just nice too, because like I was telling Chris a couple days ago, sometimes in the baseball community that's been happening is you get these kind of snobs, which doesn't make any sense to me because it's just a game. But there's this kind of weird thing with like baseball, like fantasy guys and all this stuff, and just like I don't know, it's a strange thing, but